high holidays are coming. Rosh Hashanah is coming. So I heard this joke that it was these two little brothers that went to spend the night, sleepover, to their grandmother, to the Baba. And she's a very religious person. And before bed, she tells the two kids, okay, kids, go brush your teeth. Then, Rosh Hashanah is coming. You should go to the bedroom. And please elevate a little prayer to God before you go to bed. Okay? Kids go to brush your teeth, go to bed, and one of them start praying, but he's yelling, please God, I would like to have a new PlayStation 5 with a subscription to Fortnite. Then the brother said, whoa, 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 why are you yelling? God is not deaf. Yeah, but grandma is. I want to talk to you today about from curse to blessing. From curse to blessing. I think you already know where this is going. If you pay attention to what I said about the Torah portion that we read today. Okay? We are specifically reading this kind of repetition of blessing and curses that were brought back in the previous book of the Torah. But there is something that you should know, and this is Theology 101, that the first 4 books of the Torah have one status within the Torah, and the 5th one, which is Deuteronomy, has a different status. Why? Because the first 4 books were the word of God as dictated to Moses. The 5th word of the Torah, Deuteronomy, is not necessarily the word of God. These are the words of Moses. So that's why you will find some differences between the first 4 books and the 5th. Many of the things present on Deuteronomy are a repetition. They were said before. Like, for example, the 10 Commandments. Right? When Moses repeats the 10 Commandments, some of the things are different. And it all has a reason, because now Moses had the opportunity to connect with the Jewish people as equals, from human being to human being. So Moses had the opportunity to learn a little bit more how to communicate the word of God so it will be received in a better way. We all know that the way some things were communicated before didn't really work out so well, but now Moses has a second chance, and he communicates things in a little bit different way. But as I mentioned, we are very close to Rosh Hashanah, and we should be preparing ourselves to enter into the high holiday season through the entire month of Elul. You know that the spirit of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur doesn't really start with Rosh Hashanah. It should start a month before with the month of Elul. If you have been coming to synagogue, you probably heard the sound of the shofar every day to wake us up so we can get it, that the high holidays are upon us. And also, there is, for example, the Psalm 27, that sometimes is kind of hidden in between other things, but it's something that we reserve for the month of Elul, Rosh Hashanah, and Yom Kippur, and we continue all the way to Sukkot, to the end of Sukkot with Psalm 27, that also help us to prepare ourselves for the high holidays. Now, one of the things we are going to read, actually the rabbis said, it's a beautiful midrash that applies to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, is this wonderful midrash that says that on Rosh Hashanah, God opens these 3 books. Have you ever heard this one? On Rosh Hashanah, God opens 3 books. 1 book for the completely wicked. 1 book for the completely saint or completely good people. And the 3rd book is for the intermediates. You know, the ones that they are not totally evil or not totally good, probably 99.9% of the people, right? And the Midrash says that so it says, the one who are written on Rosh Hashanah, in the book of totally wicked, that's the book of death. If you're written in Rosh Hashanah, in the book of completely good people, that's a book of life, automatically, on Rosh Hashanah. But if you are in the book of intermediates, then your destiny has to wait a little bit longer until Yom Kippur. And then God is going to decide where we are going to end at the end of Yom Kippur, in the book of life or in the book of death. But that said, basically, we have another chance to analyze what we did, so our destiny can go one way or another. Now, every time I read this midrash, I realize that many people make the mistake that take midrashim, rabbinic literature, literally. And then, of course, we struggle to connect with Judaism and rabbinic tradition. Because if you are going to understand all this literally, that it is a literal book where God writes things, and that is a literal death and literal life, then of course, that's a problem. That's not the way we should understand Midrashim. Midrashim are a metaphor. Midrashim are trying to teach us something deeper. So if we are trying to understand this Midrash properly, then we have to realize, what does it mean that there is a book of death? What does it mean there is a book of life? And what does it mean there is a book that is not clear? It's not clear if it's life or death. And my reading of all this is that, number one, every action has a reaction, like it or not. Everything you do will have an impact. Sometimes what we do have a positive impact. That is represented by this book of life, book of good things that come out of our behavior. Sometimes our things are bad, and those go to the book of death. It means in the book of bad things. You have to understand that sometimes things you do are bad, and it has a bad consequence. But many times, it's not clear the outcome of our actions, in the sense that even if they were a little bad, we still have time to fix it. And we have to take this opportunity of the month of Elul, Rosh Hashanah, and Yom Kippur to understand that there are certain things that we did that they are not so good, but we still have the chance to fix it. So at the end of the day, the outcome of everything we do will be a good one. And all those actions are going to have a good outcome, and they're going to go towards the book of life. So that's the goal of every Jew when we approach the Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur season, is to understand that most of the things we do are fixable. And we should realize that we did it wrong, so we have the opportunity to correct it. But the problem is that sometimes we don't accept that we did something wrong. We don't analyze everything we did to the point of we can decide, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? We don't go through that. We ignore it. It's like all the bad things we did, they don't exist. And that's not a Jewish attitude. We should be able to realize and to accept that sometimes we make mistakes. So back to this week's Parsha, where we read the blessings and the curses. Do you know that there is an old tradition that some synagogues follow, that number one, whenever they read the curses, they whisper. So we don't really listen to the curses. Number two, many people leave the sanctuary at that time. God forbid they will be called up to the Torah for that aliyah. That's a bad thing. To the point that many synagogues, including my former shul in Chile, the rabbi will take that aliyah because nobody else wanted to take it. So the rabbi will be the one taking the aliyah with all the curses, right? But the reality is that the curses present in this week's Parsha are the greatest gift to God, from God to us, so we can realize that sometimes we do things wrong. And if we are able to receive that and to understand it, then we still have a chance to fix it, so everything will go to the book of life. If we pretend that we did anything wrong and we don't want to listen of God saying to us, hey, sometimes you do wrong things. If we don't want to listen to that, everything at the end of the day is going to end up going to the book of death, to the book of bad things. And the outcome of our actions will always and forever will have a bad outcome. There's a famous story, and you should enjoy this one because I almost never talk about sports. We used to have a different rabbi for that, talking about sports. But once in a while, hey, I listen to these stories, and they said, hey, there is a message here. And I pay attention to this one because of the name of the person involved. Used to be an NFL player from the New York Jets. His name, Curtis Martin. Why did I pay attention? Because that's the name of the executive director of the radio, of the Asper campus. So we've been talking to this guy all the time, and I said, I can't believe there are 2 Curtis Martins in the world. And so it's okay, I'm going to read. And then I realized that it was a whole story about why this man chose the number 28 for his uniform. Eventually, he made it to the Hall of Fame, and the number 28 was retired from the team, okay? He had different names to choose from, and he didn't know which one to do. He was a very religious man. He was a Christian. So he went to ask his pastor. He said, which numbers should I choose? And then the pastor said, what are the numbers? We said 29, 28, at 5, I think it is. And then he said, oh, you should go for the 28. Because that's Deuteronomy chapter 28 contains a list of blessings. And it's this week's parsha, by the way, but just the blessings. And you should read it before every game. And then again, I said, you see, we keep making the same mistake. We believe that that's all what it is. We keep reading the blessings and the blessings and the blessings, which is good, I guess. It will make you feel good, but that's not real life. In real life, we have to be able to read the blessings, but we have to also be able to read the curses, to realize that sometimes we do make mistakes. And if we don't read the curses, we should pray to God to have somebody in our lives who can let us know in a gentle way that we are doing something wrong before it's too late to fix it, so we can send all that outcome to the book of life. And that's why when the book of Deuteronomy repeats the curses, Moses did something very interesting. The name of God used in this week's parsha for the curses is the name of God that is spelled Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. Sometimes translated as Yahweh or Jehovah in the Bible. But you know that we basically use 2 names of God. Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey, Yahweh or Elohim. And the rabbis explained that Elohim is the word, when the Torah uses the word Elohim, it's talking about God as the God of justice. And when the Torah is using the word of God as Yahweh, sometimes we say it Adonai, it's talking about the God of mercy. So why would Moses change and started to use the word Adonai to say the curses? To realize that God is letting us know what we are doing wrong from a place of mercy. He's not giving us rebuke. He's giving us positive feedback of what we are doing with our lives. Sometimes, it's not about somebody telling you what you did wrong, or it's not about you telling somebody else what they did wrong, but it's about how you say it in order to be effective. There's a story of this. It was a store owner in a very little town, the countryside. He was a son. And one day his son told this man, Dad, you know what? I feel that there is no future for me in this little town. I would like to try open my own store in the big city. Would you lend me some money to start my business? And the dad said, of course I will do that. So the store owner lent some money to his son so he will start the business on the city. So he left. This man left the house, went to try his fate at the city. A few months later, a telegram comes to this man, to the store owner. It was from his son. But there was a problem. The store owner never learned how to read or write. So he couldn't read the telegram. So he asked one of his customers of the store, hey, can you read this for me? Lucky him, the customer was a very grumpy old man. I said, oh, give me this. He's asking for more money. And then the store owner said, that's the way my son talks to me. After everything I did for him. That's not right. And he was upset all day. And he decided that he didn't want to go to bed feeling like that. So before he closed his store, he had another customer there. This time was a very happy person. And I said, hey, before you go, will you mind reading this for me, this telegram? I said, of course. I have all the time of the world, nothing else to do. Let me see. Oh, it says like this. It says, dear Father, will you please send a little bit more money? I ran out of money. Thank you very much. And then the store owner says, oh, that changes everything. I love the way my son talks to me. Of course I'm going to send him more money. So you see, sometimes it's not about what we say, but how we say it. So before the high holidays, my wish for each one of you is that may God bless you with somebody who can point to you the direction towards the book of life. That it can help you to navigate the challenges of life. So every outcome of your action will create more blessing and more life in this world. Because sometimes it's not about having a person in your life that it will prevent you from any mistakes you may make, but to have the right person who will be with you regardless all the mistakes, always helping us to create more life and more blessing in this world. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Shana
Shalom.
Tova.
Yashikoya.